The following is an exclusive presentation of WI Garden Media, the voice of Garden Talk Radio. Coming up on the program today, we're going to go over how you can maximize your garden space this year, as well as spring lawn care techniques. And our guest author of the Straw Bale Garden Book, Joel Karsten, will be with us. And we'll answer your garden questions. The hour's packed and it starts next.
You are listening to the most informationally packed hour of garden-focused radio in the country and on the internet with your host, husband and wife team Joey and Holly Baird. This is the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Welcome to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show. Thank you for being part of the program today and taking a little time out of your day to join us. I'm your host, Joey Baird. Beside me is my wife, co-host, best friend, and gardening partner,
Holly Baird.
This program is for you, about you, to help your garden grow better, to maintain your landscape, grow healthier trees, make your grass look greener, as well as preserving what you grow. If you want to be part of the program, well, we thank you whether you're listening on one of the 18 FM and AM frequencies carrying our program this year in 2022 through a radio app, through our parent website, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, under the Season 6 tab at the top of the page. Podcast replay or in-studio video replay. A lot of places you can capture the program. If you want to be part of the program, you can do that. Participation is appreciated. You can give us send us an email to gardentalkradio@gmail.com. That's gardentalkradio@gmail.com. Or you can give us a call on the Proclamation Hotline brought to you by Proclamation Goods. That number is 1-800-927 SHOW, 1-800-927-7469. Proclamation Hotline brought to you by Proclamation Goods. Holly?
Proclamation Goods creates cookware for the eco-conscious home chef. Their pans are non-toxic, have a lifetime warranty, and are made in Wisconsin. Their award-winning stainless steel Proclamation Duo cookware set is a 12-inch skillet and a stock pot that doubles as a wok. Best of all, the skillet and stock pot hinge together to form a Dutch oven. It's 2 pans with the versatility of 10, empowering you to cook more with less. If you care about your health and strive for a more sustainable lifestyle, then Proclamation Goods is for you. Supply is limited, so order yours now at proclamationgoods.com.
Everybody who gardens, they have one goal in mind: how to grow as much as possible. And in order to do such, you have to maximize the space that you have available. Whether you have 40 acres or 40 square feet, you can do this in a variety of different ways. And we're going to go over several of these techniques on how you can get the most out of your garden. Now, we covered last week in the second segment, building your soil. And that is one of the main keys to a successful garden, Holly. If you don't have good soil, you can forget about a really good harvest, because if you're not feeding the soil can't feed the plants, and you're going to be sad very quickly. It's very
important. You want to make sure that your soil is healthy and it's providing nutrients to those plants. It's the lifeblood of your plants.
Yes, whether you're using store-bought compost, a compost mix blend from your local municipality, or a yard from your garden center. In the Milwaukee area, we use Blue Ribbon Organics. Whether you're making as much as you can in the hot composting bin there, or your leaves, chemical-free, seed-free grass clippings, kitchen scraps, feeding the soil, coffee grounds. So there's a number of ways in which you can feed your soil. Do it safely, do it correctly, and that is kind of the building blocks of maximizing your garden to have a healthy garden.
Yeah, definitely. And knowing that your soil is healthy, it will produce more, help your plants produce more and be better to fight off disease. Yeah, more productive, but also to better fight off disease, which goes along with keeping it properly watered, consistently watered. That's also not like a feeding your soil, but it kind of is. So that's another, when you don't water or you have inconsistent watering, a lot of the nutrients get locked up into the soil. So when you water consistently, it helps release those nutrients.
And feeding your soil, having the proper nutrient value. If you're guessing that you don't know, if you think you may not have good soil, pH test, a soil test. You can get it from your local university extension office. You can buy them online. You can put it in a little tablet, little test tube, and send it off to a laboratory. The custom homemade deal. If you're going to do a soil test, I would advise to invest in a good soil test, whether it's through a university or an online kit where you take a sample and you send it off. They're going to give you multiple points of analyzation from what you're doing wrong to what you need to do to make it right and how to adjust and what the soil needs. Stop doing this and start doing that. It's well worth the money in order to find out the starting point in order to do better.
Absolutely. So you also want to think about planting what you know you will enjoy and what will grow. So you might think, well,
that sounds simple.
Yeah. But maybe you're trying to grow avocados in a zone that avocados won't grow. And that's important, is to know what will grow. Just like we've tried to grow sweet potatoes, but they do require quite a warm season, and it hasn't always worked out for us. So at this point, we've stopped growing sweet potatoes.
You can try new things.
Yeah,
a little area here and there each year. Try a unique item, but stick with the staples. If you're not certain, call your local university extension office. Talk to your neighbors. It's okay to talk to your neighbors. I know it's 2022, but it's still okay to talk to your neighbors, the nice ones, and ask what they grow in their backyard. And your social clubs, your online groups. There's a lot of groups specifically targeted for growing in certain states. There's Utah group. There's a Pennsylvania group. There's Wisconsin groups. There's Missouri group. They're all types, and you can always ask, and they're very friendly in order to assist you with those questions. Partial shade and containers are two more examples of how to maximize your garden.
Yeah, so containers, if you maybe have some area along your driveway or wherever, essentially, where you could plop a few containers.
Couple of Rootmaker grow bags from rootmaker.com. Coupon code radio22. Get 15% off your order.
Or maybe you just have something decorative that you think, this might look nice here. You could definitely utilize that extra.
Think outside of the box.
Yeah, the extra space. And there's a lot of things you can grow in containers. You could, if you have like a 5-gallon-ish size container, you can grow a tomato plant. And you could even grow, an extra cherry tomato plant maybe outside of your back door. And then you pop some off for some salad or just to snack on. And you have a nice little back door tomato plant.
Now, if you're going to grow in a 5-gallon bucket, nothing wrong with that. Make sure the bucket that you use was used for food grade, that it didn't have tractor oil that it came in, and there's, be conscious of that.
Do they sell tractor oil in 5-gallon buckets?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
Yeah, 5-gallon and 55-gallon drums.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, now you learned something. But you want to make sure there's drainage holes, and not just put drainage holes in the bottom. Don't do that. Go an inch up along the side of the bucket and put 4 holes for drainage. That way, there's a certain reservoir of water that stays in that bottom and wicks back up whenever the plant needs it, because you may not remember to water.
That's a really good point. So then you had mentioned partial shade.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't always utilize this because they think, well, I can't grow vegetables in partial shade.
Partial shade does not mean dark, no sun at all.
Exactly. So what this means is it's just not going to get as much as a whole daylight's worth of sun. Maybe half a daylight, maybe morning sun, afternoon sun, something like that. But you can still definitely utilize that, especially for the shade-loving crops. So I have a little saying, if it grows...
If it's for the roots?
If you grow for the roots or the fruits, you want to put it in full sun. If you grow it for the leaves, you can have some shade. So if you're growing anything like lettuce, kale... herbs, things like that. If you're eating the green part of it, then you can definitely put it in partial shade.
You can also maximize your space by vertical growing trellises, whether they're cattle panels, bottom of baby cribs. Take a baby gate and flip it vertical, something to allow peas, beans, cucumbers, pole beans to crawl up. Maximizing the space, expanding the footprint of your grow area vertically to allow more plants to be planted in your garden.
Well, right, and this is something you actually had to learn.
Right. The only thing we ever trellised on the farm was peas. Peas are very weak stemmed, and we would throw a couple of cattle panels up for the peas to grow up, and everything else just sprawled on the ground. Cucumbers, Pole beans, we did trellis. We had some leftover pieces of hog feeders that like a tripod that they would grow up. But cucumbers, melons, all went on the ground. That's it. And then you do this cucumber is the size of a football, and I don't think it's any good.
No. The football-sized cucumbers are not
yellowish.
Not good.
Yeah.
They're just terrible.
They're actually damaging to the plant because the plant's focusing all the energy on that one fruit for seed production, and it shuts down production for the rest of the plant.
So that brings us to our next point is look for problems. Not that a giant cucumber is a problem. It's a problem in a like it's not like a.
We're talking about bugs and diseases because a garden is, and many of you who are listening understand this, but there may be new. It doesn't mean pick a date, Memorial Day weekend, you go plant your crops, and then see you later, garden. And come Labor Day, you walk out and everything's hunky dory like a PBS garden program. It doesn't happen that way.
It does.
On PBS, yeah.
And the home, like the home channel.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of problems. That's 3 shows in itself to talk about all the problems in which you may face in your garden. But if it doesn't look right, something isn't right. And there are a lot of ways in which you can find out information. If you're going to send us a question in regards to such a thing, Garden Talk Radio, gmail.com, gardentalkradio@gmail.com. Take some photographs and put that in the email because that will make the identification almost 1,000 times better. So with that being said, Holly, that's some ways in which one can maximize your garden. And you can also you can do a square foot garden method instead of a row method in certain parts of the garden. You can succession plant. When one thing gets done, put something else in its spot. And you can have your freezers and your pantry full of produce by the end of the year. In addition to the produce that you're growing, you can also have the correct tools in order to process or season the meats in which you are consuming.
Absolutely. I just made some sauteed mushrooms the other night and used some delicious Walton's seasoning. So we are brought to you today by our Walton's Inc. You want to know, where your food comes from, canning, preserving your fruits and vegetables, etc. At Walton's, you can get all the equipment, seasoning, and supplies to make sausage, jerky, and any other meat product your way to your high standard. You want to make snack sticks that people will actually like. Walton's created meatgistics.com, an informational site to help you find or make the best finished product. It's just kind of a online support community. Walton's even has their own full line of meat grinders, mixers, sausage stuffers, and more to help you go from animal to edible. Walton's everything but the meat. That's waltonsinc.com or meatgistics.com. You can use code GROW22 to save 10% off your order of $50 or more and get free shipping.
Everything but the meat. Well, when we come back, do not go anywhere. It's spring lawn maintenance. You're listening to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Got a question for Joey and Holly? Send it via email anytime to gardentalkradio@gmail.com.
Introducing the Johnny Appleseed Authentic Algeo Apple Tree, grafted from the last known surviving tree planted by the real Johnny Appleseed. The Johnny Appleseed Authentic Algeo Apple Tree was shepherded through nearly 200 years of American history by a family of rural Ohio farmers. Now you can grow this one-of-a-kind heirloom tree right in your own backyard. Order your tree today at shopjohnnyAppleseed.com. That's shopjohnnyAppleseed.com.
Rootmaker starts your plants off right and keeps them going through harvest. From their seed starting trays with an innovative design that air prunes the roots to their large variety of grow bags, 1 to 60 gallons. Their products will provide you with the harvest that you've never seen before. Visit rootmaker.com and use coupon code RADIO22 to save 15% off your order. That's rootmaker.com. The Water Hoop is a portable water sprinkler system that allows you to target water evenly around the root ball of your tree or bush. Conforms to various shapes for your watering needs. The Water Hoop reduces runoff and saves money. Visit waterhoop.com. Carpenter bees cause costly structural damage to wood siding, decks, doors, eaves, and railings. Our solution is Trapstick from Rescue. It catches carpenter bees all season long. Trapstick uses no pesticides. Carpenter bees are enticed by colors and pattern and get stuck on the adhesive. Save your wood structures from damage from carpenter bees with Trapstick from Rescue. Made in the USA by the makers of the popular Rescue Fly and Yellow Jacket traps. Learn more at carpenterbeecontrol.com. That's carpenterbeecontrol.com. Chapin has the tools you need to water, feed, and protect your garden. We make equipment for lawn and garden care, and we are always innovating to help make your next growing season a success. Our newest products are the 5010 Rose Duster, watering tools including hose nozzles, sprinklers, and timers, the Mixes on Exit Backpack Sprayer that mixes concentrate as you spray. You can find all products at www.chapinmfg.com, major online retailers, home improvement stores, and hardware stores near you. Protect your outdoor furniture, fire pits, grills, and more with custom covers from coversandall.com. Springtime means you don't know what the weather is going to do. Rain, sun, snow, ice, maybe everything in 48 hours. Covers and All's durable custom covers protects against it all. They've got a bunch of fabrics to choose from, and each one can be customized to fit any style, size, or shape to keep your outdoor furniture looking brand new year-round. Visit them at coversandall.com and use code GARDEN25 at checkout to save 25% off your purchase.
Dig planting holes from a comfortable standing position. Step, twist, pull, and plant. Visit ProPlugger.com. Protect your plants from damage with the 3-in-1 Plant Guard and Special Blend Fertilizer. Visit ivorganics.com. Use promo code RADIO10 to save 10% off your order.
Spring is around the corner, folks, and Algae Men reminds you that this year, when it's time for spring cleaning, don't forget about the outside of your house. Algae Men is southeastern Wisconsin's go-to for exterior cleaning, including roofs, siding, decks, and concrete. So if you spot ugly black stains or green splotchy stuff on your home, let Algae Men get rid of it for you. We can restore the area back to its original look, not only in a timely manner, but also at an affordable cost. For a free estimate, visit us today at algaemen.com. Algae Men, we clean areas that you don't want to.
Deer Defeat is an all-natural repellent to keep deer, rabbits, and groundhogs away from your precious plants. Deer Defeat protects your plants day and night, dries clear, and odorless. It will not clog your sprayer. Deer Defeat works for 30 days through rain, snow, and freeze. Safe, effective, and works on rabbits. Money-back guarantee. To purchase, go to deerdefeat.com and use code RADIO to save 10% on your order. Deer Defeat. It can't be beat. Thanks for listening to the Gardening with Joe and Holly radio show. As you've heard through the program, many companies offering coupon codes to help you save on great products. If you've missed any of those coupon codes, you can go to our parent website, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, and click on the Money tab at the top of the page, and they're all listed for you. The Gardening with Joe and Holly radio show is brought to you by the following: Pro Plugger, Chip Drop, Bellbuster, Johnny Appleseed, Ivy Organic, Milkweed Balm, Walton's Incorporated, Bloomin' Easy Plants, Jung Seeds. Find all sponsors at the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com and thank them for their support. Welcome back to the Gardening with Joe and Holly radio show. Thank you for being with us today and keeping us company on the radio. Watering is a challenge for many people, Holly. And some people overwater, some people underwater, and some people forget to water altogether. And the tree diaper can fix all three of those scenarios very easily.
Yeah, if your plants could talk, they would tell you about how they...
Well, first off, your plants can talk. That you should get that on video.
Yeah, definitely. They tell you about how maybe they're not being properly watered, either too much or too little, overwatering or underwatering. And most of the time it's underwatering. How do you water properly? You take the guesswork by using the tree diaper. Tree diaper is a revolutionary watering system that stabilizes soil moisture by taking up excess water and slowly releases it when plants need it. The tree diaper is filled with water from rain or when you water and slowly releases water over 3 weeks. No pipes, hoses, or electricity needed. Whether you're a first-time gardener or advanced, tree diaper will improve the way you water your plants. Made in the USA, you can find all the sizes they have available at treediaper.com. That is treediaper.com, made in the USA.
Now, lawn care. Now, I don't say this very often about a segment on this program, but if you don't care about your lawn, still listen, but you don't have to take notes. If you or you take notes to impress the people who have lawns that care about them. Lawns are a means of which people take a lot of pride on, spend a lot of money on to make them as picture perfect as possible, magazine cover perfect. and nobody's allowed to walk on them. Anyway, so we're going to go over some lawn care maintenance here for the spring. And even if you don't really care about your lawn, there's some things in which you can do to allow the lawn to still grow, even if it may just be weeds or foxtail or creeping Charlie, whatever the case is. Crabgrass, yeah. One is tune up your lawnmower. Nothing is worse for a blade of grass than to get gnawed off by a blunt blade on a lawnmower. And it actually causes the lawnmower to work harder to do the job. So if you are not savvy or feel like you're capable of taking the blades off, take some time, take the lawnmower to a certified mechanic or somebody you trust and get those blades sharpened, get the lawnmower tuned up, make sure everything's working properly. One, so it will work when you need it, and two, it makes the job a lot easier and safer.
Absolutely. You having properly operating tools, whether it be a lawnmower or just some clippers, is going to make your life easier no matter what. So with that being said, we want to think about our rakes, and what you want to do is you want to take your rake and you want to rake up any fallen leaves. You kind of want to
any branches, because that's what's damaging the blade as well. Also, make sure there's no junk in the yard that when that blade hits, it's causing the damage to the blade.
But also raking,
old tools, kids' toys.
Also, yeah, exactly. Also, raking will help get when you bring up that debris, it allows the air to get to your grass,
right?
Especially in the spring.
But raking and dethatching are two separate things. Raking is basically taking the surface material off. Dethatching is a way of removing the dead material at soil level. Now, here's the thing. If you have fertilized your lawn and you start dethatching it, you are going to see an incredible increase of green growth because a lot of that fertilizer cannot get to the root zone because you have such a thick layer of thatch of the dead foliage material continuing to lay on the soil, working to be biodegraded and composted. So you want to remove that thatch. There are machines to do it. You can do it manually, but a machine, if you feel that is necessary, that would be the way to go. Rent one for half a day, and you can use that material and throw in your compost pile, assuming that you've used organic fertilizer and not a weed and feed that has a 2,4-D chemical in it, which will attach to water molecules, grass clippings, and poison your garden. That's a 2,4-D. A weed and feed, if you use weed and feed on your lawn, do not put this stuff in your compost because it will toxify your compost, and then anything you grow, anywhere you put that compost, it will toxify it with that chemical.
Right, and you definitely want to do this in the spring because you have that growth that has gone dormant over the winter, and now you are ready to dethatch and kind of. It's kind of like when you exfoliate your skin, you're like exfoliating your lawn.
Right. Now,
so then there's aerating,
which is different than dethatching. Thatching is removing that dead material at soil level, essentially. Aerating is removing certain amount of material, soil, creating little holes to allow oxygen and water and fertilizer, essentially, to get deeper into the soil. So you can have a commercial aerator where it takes like 1/2-inch plugs out, or there are people it's like these giant spikes you put on your shoes and you walk around. That's a cheaper way, maybe not the most effective way, but this is a way.
That's a thing?
That's a thing.
I had no idea.
This is a way to aerate the soil, to loosen the soil up a little bit, and then once you aerate, you can go in and top dress it with compost, kind of rake that in to feed the soil that way as well.
Right. And that's definitely something that is going to help your lawn overall. It helps the drainage,
right?
And it's a good idea. Now you want to test your soil, possibly.
We talked about this in the last segment. Get a soil test,
right? And so if you care about your lawn equally about your vegetables, then this is something that you'd want to do for your lawn.
You would want to do two separate soil tests. You'd want to do one for the growing area, the garden, and then do a sample area in the actual lawn. You don't want to mix those two together because those can be very, very different readings and give you a false positive or false information. So invest in two separate, one for the lawn, one for the growing area.
Definitely. So then another option, and this is done by many people, is to mow your grass a little bit higher.
What? But if I mow it low, I don't have to mow it as often.
Right. But however, if you do live in an area that's prone to mosquitoes, this is not something you might want to do like at the peak of summer, because if your lawn is higher, it can breed more mosquitoes. But if you kind of sometimes have to take the good with the bad.
Well,
but either way,
yeah. How high should I be mowing my lawn then, Holly?
about 3 to 4 inches.
That's about 2 inches higher than I remember mowing the lawn back on the farm.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. But that a lot of people will do this because it provides the best growth for their lawn.
And whether they've seeded the lawn or brought sod in and created a lawn, you do this right. And we've all seen these lawns in homeowners associations and even just in the neighborhood. Nobody walks on it. Their signs don't walk on it, but it looks like a cloud of green. It looks like you could just, your feet sink into it 3 or 4 inches and it would be the softest thing you ever did walk on.
Right. It's like the golf course grass, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we all have seen this picture perfect. You want to walk on it just to know what it was like.
I mean, you could if you did it fast enough.
Well, we won't get into that. We don't advise that.
So yes, the mowing high, it does help keep. It provides deeper roots. So when you mow shorter, you do end up with shallow roots. So you're making the plant basically work for its nutrients, right? Yeah, that's exactly what you're doing. So then there's the option of overseeding, and so what you do is when you overseed is basically you are
putting more
seed there than what is recommended on the grass seed bag or box or whatever. And this way is what happens is that you are allowing the grass to grow in quite thick. And then, but when you do this, you do want to make sure you are fertilizing.
Right. And then you kill the weeds. For people who want a pristine manicured lawn, there are called pre-emergent herbicides where and this is why we're not putting this in our compost pile for growing use. This is designed that it will kill the seeds, prevent the future seeds to come up of your dandelions, your crabgrass, your different grasses that you don't want, or your different weeds you don't want. It's designed to kill them, but not affect the grasses. Kind of like that weed and feed, essentially, with that 2,4-D. It's a broadleaf herbicide that kills everything but the grass. Farmers use it for pastures to make the pasture, keep the thistles and the lamb's quarter and all that stuff from growing up and overtaking the pasture. We don't advise this. There are organic means in which you can do such. But again, in this instance, the organic stuff for gardening works really good. The organic pre-emergence, which is corn gluten, not so much. I mean, it depends on who you talk to. Obviously, there's something there because they keep selling the stuff, but be aware that if you're going to do it, you might have to go with the actual chemical on this.
I think you have to apply a lot of it, and strategically is kind of what I understand with the corn gluten. But
corn gluten, by the way, for those who are not aware, that is a byproduct. It used to be, and it probably still is, a byproduct from the beer making people, the breweries. They would squeeze the gook out of the corn kernel, and then the corn gluten is the byproduct of that, and it's sold to farmers for cattle feed. And for this means of pre-emergent herbicide or organic version of that. And then we want to fertilize.
So this is a little bit different than killing the weeds. You are fertilizing the grass to help it be productive, greener. Yep. So typically, if you are looking for a grass fertilizer, it's going to be a high number of nitrogen. That's the first number on your fertilizer bag. So that's N for nitrogen. So it's usually like a 2000 or something like that, and it's going to provide that grass growth and the greenness, and possibly what happens is when you have that, you see that lush looking carpet grass.
Right. And another thing in which we need to work on is eliminating the grubs, and Grub Gone is a perfect product for this. This is one of the tips, but also it works well and leads into the product from Phylum Bioproducts. With the weather warming up, you're going to have to figure out what you're going to do with these beetles and grubs that are invading and can damage your manicured lawn very, very easily.
Yeah, just with spring is here. Summer's right around the corner. You're going to start spending more time outside. And you want to start thinking about those grubs and the Japanese beetles that have laid their eggs. So you want to think about Grub Gone.
Grub Gone can be applied to your turf, your yard, or garden, or around ornamentals to control grubs and lessen the impact those beetles have on your yard this summer. Easy to apply with any commercial spreader or irrigate right into the soil. Biologically created for specifically targeting grubs and beetles and invaders without harming those beneficial insects such as butterflies, bees, and ladybugs.
Right. So you want to go to phyllumbioproducts.com. It is the only non-chemical that works. That's PHYLLOM bioproducts.com. You can use code GardenTalk10 to save 10% off your orders at phyllumbioproducts.com.
And when we come back, author of the Straw Bale Garden Book, our friend Joel Karsten will be with us.
Have a garden question? Give Joey and Holly a call now or anytime 24/7. Just dial 1-800-927-SHOW. If you can't get through, leave a message and they will call you back. Call now 1-800-927-SHOW.
This week's garden tip is sponsored by the amazing Dr. Zymes. Eliminate and prevent garden pests with their 100% all-natural, all-in-one insecticide and fungicide. Experience powerful natural protection from insects, fungus, mold, and mildew. Try a free sample. Visit drzymes.com/garden talk. Preventative measures during growing season. Foliar spray your plants once per week up to the day of harvest. Foliar feeding is used to feed plants by applying a liquid fertilizer directly to their leaves. Plants absorb essential elements through their leaves. This takes place through their stomatas and also through their epidermis. Spray your plants an entire area around them and any other vegetation growth in or near your garden. We recommend a half cup of Eliminator to 1 gallon of warm water. Dr. Zymes is OMRI listed, safe up to the day of harvest, and doesn't leave a residue. That helpful garden tip was sponsored by the amazing Dr. Zymes. Eliminate and prevent garden pests with their 100% all-natural, all-in-one insecticide and fungicide. Experience powerful natural protection from insects, fungus, mold, and mildew. Try a free sample. Visit drzymes.com/garden talk. Take the guesswork out of composting with hot bin composting. Quickly break down food scraps within 30 to 90 days. Find out more at hotbincomposting.com. Have you ever tried to carry all your tools and supplies on your tractor? You fumble around looking for the right one, unsafely holding them while you drive. Big Tool Rack developed a range of carry-all systems that attaches to your compact tractor in seconds, creating a mobile workstation that allows you to safely carry your tools and supplies. Big Tool Rack's telescoping wheel system and 3-point hitch connections allows you to quickly attach and detach the carry-all system for easy storage. Working around the house, the homestead, or the farm, Big Tool Rack has your back and all your tools. Use code MYRACK5 for 5% off purchases at BigToolRack.com. Find out why we're built to haul it all. If you could double the life of your raised bed boxes by sealing the wood with a clear, non-toxic wood preservative, would you? Well, now you can with a clear, penetrating product called Internal Wood Stabilizer. It's 100% non-toxic and easy to apply. Seal your untreated wood surfaces, even chicken coops, by spraying on Internal Wood Stabilizer. It's invisible, seals the wood from the inside out, and never wears off. Recommended by organic gardening experts. Internal Wood Stabilizer. Check it out at timberprocoatingsusa.com.
Jung Seed Company is a family-owned and operated gardening company since 1907 with the largest selection of seeds and plants online. Use code 10TG22 to receive 10% off your order at jungseed.com. That code again is 10TG22.
Thanks for listening to the Gardening with Joe and Holly radio show. As you've heard through the program, many companies offering coupon codes to help you save on great products. If you've missed any of those coupon codes, you can go to our parent website, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, and click on the Money tab at the top of the page, and they're all listed for you. The Gardening with Joe and Holly radio show is brought to you by the following: Rootmaker, Dripworks, Pomona Universal Pectin, Phylum Bioproducts, Tree Diaper, Chapin Manufacturing Incorporated, Deer Defeat, Water Hoop. Find all sponsors at the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com and thank them for their support. Welcome back to the Gardening with Joe and Holly radio show. Author of the Straw Bale Garden book, Joel Karsten, moments away. But first, another way in which you can help your plants grow better is with Simple Grow, 100% worm casting.
Are you worrying about your plant growth? Provide your plants with what they need to grow to their potential. Simple Grow offers 100% organic worm castings at simplegrow.com. Unlike other worm casting products where when you order from Simple Grow, you are getting 100% worm casting, not filler plus castings. Promote ideal soil structure and aeration with Simple Grow all-natural, odor-free worm castings.
Odor-free, and they're only 100% worm castings. That's it. Nothing else.
Yeah, that's the only ingredient. So no chemicals or additives will seep into your food, and it doesn't smell like other fertilizers. For indoor and outdoor use, you can buy by the bag, bundle, ton, or truckload. Check out Simple Grow 100% worm castings and what they can do for your plants. You can order today at simplegrow.com.
Wonderful. Holly, let's go to the Proclamation Hotline, brought to you by Proclamation Goods, and bring in our guest for this week.
Yeah, Joel Karsten has worked in the green industry for many years. He is the author and inventor of the Straw Bale Garden Method, and he's also an avid vegetable gardener. Welcome to the program, Joel.
Hey guys, how are you? Great to be with you.
We are doing good. We're happy that you've joined us. You're one of the staple guests we have on every year, because it seems like no matter how many people you tell about straw bale gardening, there's always people going, "What is this? Why am I just hearing about it now?"
I know. I feel the same way. Sometimes I go to a home and garden show and 95% of the audience has never heard of it. And I feel like I've been there a dozen times, and, I've done my part, but it's still, there's a big world out there. So,
well, for people who are not familiar with this method of growing, tell us about straw bale gardening, or tell us about the straw bale garden ideal. Where did it come from, and,
Sure.
and all of that, the backstory on this?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Well, straw bale gardening is really, what you need to think about is the straw bale is both the container and the media. So it's kind of like your container gardening, but the bale serves as both the container and the media. The inside of the bale, we're gonna put a little bit of nitrogen on there. That's gonna help balance out the carbon that's already in a bale of straw. When we get that to about a 20-to-1 ratio, the bacteria love that bale, and they'll colonize the inside of the straw bale, and then they really turn the inside of the bale into soil. So by the time you're planting in a couple of weeks, after the prep process we call conditioning, after you prep the bale, by the time you're planting, you're really planting into very early stage soil. It won't look like black dirt on the inside yet, but it has the characteristics of soil, where it has positive and negatively charged ions that are in a solution inside the bale, and they can be absorbed into the roots of another plant. So you don't have to add any soil. I get that question all the time. Do I need to add dirt into the bale? No, you don't need to do that. The inside of the bale actually becomes soil. So it's a real simple way to garden. There's a lot of advantages to it as well.
And just for a disclaimer, Joel is the creator of Bale Buster, which is the product in which you help condition the bale. He is a sponsor of the program, so I want to make everybody clear that there's no secrecy here. That being said, and you came up with this, Joel. You were a farm kid many years ago, and you came up with this concept kind of by accident, would you say?
Yeah, they always say necessity is the mother of invention. So I had just purchased a house. I was just out of college. This was many years ago. I'm getting a lot of gray hair now, Joey. So this was 30 years ago. I've been doing straw bale gardening for 30 years, which doesn't seem like, seems like yesterday, but a long time. I just got out of college. I bought a house, and it turns out I had about 1 inch of topsoil. And that wasn't enough to have a garden. And I just graduated college and just bought a house. I didn't have 2 nickels to rub together, not to mention $200 to build raised beds. So I thought about the days when I was young on the farm. I used to grow up on a dairy farm. We used to have a bale of straw or bale of hay that would lay against the barn. And a year after it sat there, great big thistles would grow out of that decomposing bale. And I thought, why wouldn't tomatoes and peppers grow out of a decomposing bale like that? So I did a bunch of experiments. And like I said, that was 30 years ago. The first 15 years, nobody cared about my straw bale gardening. And now the last 15 years, people can't get enough of it. So isn't that how it goes?
You never know how the timeline will work. Now, do people just put their plants in the bales? Do they hope for the best? Or is there a method to growing in the straw bales?
Well, you got to first do that conditioning process that we talked about. And then you can do transplants like you normally would for stuff that's is a long season crop like tomatoes. You want to get those 8 weeks already started, so you get an 8-week jump start on the season. You want to wait till around your last frost, and then just make a hole in the bale and put the tomato roots in there, and push the straw around the tomato root, and it'll take off. If you're doing seeds, like real tiny seeds, like carrots or radish or basil, you need to make a kind of like frosting on the cake. You put a little bit of potting mix on top of the bale. Don't use soil. If you use soil, you're going to bring weed seeds, and that's one of the big things about straw bale gardening. There's no weeding in this garden. So you put a little bit of potting mix on top, water that in a little bit, and then put another little layer, and then put your carrot seeds in that. And if you're doing big seeds, things that are as big as your end of your pinky finger, like peas and beans and squash seeds, those you can push right into the bale itself. You don't need any potting mix at all with those, and they'll sprout right out of the bale. Just the teeny tiny seeds, because you got to have something to hold them in position and then hold moisture around them until they germinate. And then once they germinate, they'll send that little root right down into the bale, because the inside of that bale is going to be nice and warm when you plant. Where your soil's still 50, 55 degrees, the inside of the bale could be 80 or 90 degrees on the day you plant. So that's one of the other big advantages of straw bale gardening.
And you sell a product, and first of all, I consider a straw bale being wheat stubble, but there's other varieties of straw out there, and you can explain that. But also, you sell a product you created a product called Bale Buster. How is that different than other fertilizers to condition the bale?
Well, yeah, you can use oat straw, wheat straw, barley straw, rice straw, or you could use hay. If you can find straw, your grass hay, alfalfa hay, basically any organic material that's tightly compressed. As soon as you introduce a nitrogen source, that will feed the bacteria, and that bacteria will turn that organic material into soil. So it really doesn't matter what the bale is made of. As long as it's organic material, it's going to turn into soil very quickly. But yeah, I came up with Bale Buster, and it only took me 25 years to get smart enough that I developed a product specifically for straw bale gardening. In all my books I've written over the years, I've written 5 books now, and I tell people what type of fertilizer they could use. And I try to explain the details about, what essential elements they need in a fertilizer. If they're going to buy like a lawn fertilizer, what the characteristics should be. If they're going to do it organically, what the characteristics should be. And then I would get emails in the spring. I mean, thousands and thousands of emails when people would say, tell me again what fertilizer I should be using. So I'd explain the characteristics of the fertilizer. And then they'd write me back all angry, and they'd say, no, I just want you to tell me what brand name and what store to go to. And so finally, after answering those emails for years and years, I tell them, go on my website and you can buy Bale Buster, which is designed specifically for straw bale gardening. The only, what really differentiates it is if you know fertilizer, it's a 3857. At least the refined one is. We also have an organic version. That's about 0.5, 1.5. So 15.5, 1.5. So not a lot of phosphorus and potassium in that one, but 3857. And then it's got a little bit of blood meal in it, and then it's got Trichoderma ricci, which is a fungi, and it's got Bacillus subtilis, which is a bacteria. It's got about 250 million colony-forming units of each of those in every little bag that we send you. So it really helps activate the decomposition process in that bale, and really decomposes it nicely and quickly, making it into soil. So people seem to love it. We get great reviews. We sell the stuff like it's going out of style this time of year. So
fantastic. So we are talking with Joel Karsten, the author and inventor of the straw bale garden method. So concern about using bales for many people is them being sprayed with pesticides. How would one know if they have been sprayed with pesticides, or what is the likeliness of that happening?
It's not very likely at all. Sometimes they're sprayed with a herbicide like glyphosate or something like that in the dry down period, but the half-life of that's about 72 hours. And if you go on any of these chemical companies' websites and you read about what do you do should you have like a spill of chemical or whatever, what they'll always tell you is thoroughly compost whatever material it was spilled on. You should thoroughly compost it. And so basically grow bacteria in it, and the bacteria will metabolize any of those hydrocarbon chains that remain. And that's exactly what we're doing in our straw bales, is we're building up bacteria, colonizing the whole bale with bacteria. And so if there were any residue left in there, that bacteria is going to very thoroughly metabolize that residue.
Well,
if anybody's ever really worried about it, they can grab a handful of straw out of their bale, and they can chop it up a little bit, mix it with some potting mix, and then take 3 cups of that, and you put some tomato seeds and some carrot seeds, and then in the third one you put some pea seeds, and then you do a control. So you take just potting mix, and you do the same thing with 3 cups, and you water them, and you see what germinates. And if your straw bale mix media, if all 3 of those germinate, there's absolutely no contamination in there. So if people want to do a quick, simple little assay test, they can do that, or they can Google how to do it, and it comes up on the internet how to do one.
Right, and if the stuff didn't, if it was a high level of toxicity, stuff wouldn't grow in it, and you wouldn't have to worry about it.
Yeah. The bale wouldn't produce anything
right.
if it really was bad, and you would never eat anything that was contaminated.
Well, you talk about all of these things in which we can grow in a straw bale. What are some things that you advise not to adventure into straw bale growing?
Well, you know, there's not very many. That's why when I do my presentations, I always talk about what not to plant, because if we talked about what to plant, we'd be there all day, because you basically can plant everything. I don't advise sweet corn. You know, it gets too tall and tips over so easy, and the root system is really big. You'd only get about four stalks of corn out of a bale. It's not very productive. I also don't recommend things that are perennial roots like asparagus and rhubarb, you know, raspberries. Those are perennial roots. They're going to be there year after year. And in 3 years, there's nothing left of that bale but a little lump of soil in your garden. So you'd never harvest anything out of the bale if you need to let it establish for 3 years, you know, before you'd start harvesting. Like asparagus, you shouldn't even touch for at least 3 years. Let the roots get established. So those are the things. The other thing I haven't had consistent good luck with is onions. But my southern gardeners, people down south, they swear by the onions in their straw bales. They love the performance. So maybe it's just the weather this far north. You know, in Minnesota, it stays pretty cold late in the spring. So onions haven't done great. And the only herb that doesn't love it is rosemary. She doesn't seem to really like straw bales. Other than that, my goodness, I had great success with tomatoes and peppers and cucumbers and eggplant, and cabbage and squash. And, I mean, you name it.
And
does really well.
And people, and you can tell the story. There's some gardeners that grow 1 straw bale a year, and there's some gardeners that grow literally hundreds, if not thousands, a year. Am I exaggerating at all here?
No, yeah. There's a guy down by Nashville that has a big giant parking lot where he uses it for apple picking and pumpkin picking in the fall. He needs parking space. So after the apple and pumpkin picking season, he's harvested his wheat. He takes wheat bales and covers his whole parking lot with 1,000 bales of wheat straw. And then in the spring, he puts his drip tape down, you know, drip water system, and he plants all those bales out with vegetables, seeds. And then when you come to his farm, he hands you, you know, it's like one of these roadside farms. You can take vegetables that he's already picked, or he'll hand you a bucket, and you can go harvest your own vegetables out of the you-picked vegetable garden in the parking lot. And then when you're done, he weighs the bucket, and that's how he charges you. So, yeah, he's a good example, 1,000 bales, and he does that every year. But I have a lot of people. One lady down in Tennessee did 3,000 bales. So I never saw her garden, but it was more a commercial production, you know, than just a backyard garden at 1,000 bales.
Right.
3,000 bales.
When you say 2,000 or 3,000 bales, I'm thinking that's a hot, long week, and it's 105 degrees, and I've been there and done that, and I'm sure you have too, and it's not fun.
Yeah, that's for sure.
We're referring to in the field baling this up with the dust blowing in your face. That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah, that's right. You know, the worst job, Joey, was not baling on the baling rack. That job wasn't so bad. It was being up in the barn when we had to stack the bales. That was the worst, because there's always wasps floating around your head, and it's dusty and it's hot up there.
Yep, no wind and 117 degrees.
Yeah, and that was the worst job, was being in the barn.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, with that being said, we really enjoy having you on the program, like always. And how can people find out more about your book, The Bale Buster? Where can they find all that information?
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on too. It's always fun to be on with you. The best place is our website. We have a relatively new website. Maybe people may not have been to it, but all of our websites basically steer you to it now. It's called strawbalegardenclub.com. And it sounds like a private club. It's not a private club. Anybody can come and join us. It's just we do make you register because we got to keep the spammers off of our website. We have a forum on there where you can ask questions and get answers. And if we don't make you register, then everybody tries to sell sunglasses on our website. So we make you register. But there's great information. We have almost 100 videos on our website that people can watch for free. So yeah, they can really learn a lot on strawbalegardenclub.com. We also have a shop there. Of course, they could buy Bale Buster if they want to, or books or whatever. So.
Well, Joel, we greatly appreciate the time you've offered us, and always it's a pleasure to have you on, and we learn something new every time you're on the program. So thank you very much for that.
Thanks so much, guys. Have a great garden season.
Absolutely. And when we come back, it's your garden questions, our garden answers. This is the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Got a question for Joey and Holly? Send it via email anytime to gardentalkradio@gmail.com.
Brought to you by Blue Ribbon Organics, providing locally made organic compost and soil blends for gardens, farms, landscaping, and more. Visit BlueRibbonOrganics.com or call 262-497-8539 to find their products nearest you. We know that you appreciate the value of a beautifully landscaped yard, but tackling such a project yourself can seem way too complicated, right? Bloomin' Easy plants are the answer. Their plants are low maintenance and offer exceptional beauty and color for your yard. Plus, they offer free seasonal care reminders with simple how-to videos tailored to the plants that you choose. With Bloomin' Easy on your side, creating the yard that you've always wanted becomes as easy as plant, water, and relax. Check them out at your local garden center or by visiting bloomineasyplants.com. With the right tools, plant maintenance is easy and more effective. Ironwood Tool Company has the right tools for your project. From pruners to loppers to saws and shears and cleanup tools, get the right tool for this season, making your job much easier. Find them all at ironwoodtools.com.
Make watering easy. DripWorks provides quality drip irrigation supplies and equipment to gardeners just like you for all your growing needs across the U.S. and Canada. Purchase online at dripworks.com.
Chip Drop is a website you can sign up for free wood chip mulch delivery right to your door for free. Chip Drop connects homeowners and gardeners with tree services who are trying to get rid of their wood chips. You can also sign up to get free logs and firewood. Go to chipdrop.com to learn more and sign up for a free account.
A non-selective herbicide that is also USDA certified? You bet. No More Weeds by Naturally Green Products. The same great company that brings you No More Bugs, No More Weeds. Kills weeds with no harsh chemicals, no glyphosate. No More Weeds is a commercial-grade vinegar base with a proprietary sticking agent. Great around pools, decks, patios, etc. Visit natgreenproducts.com. Enter promo code WEEDS, WEEDS, and buy 3 1-gallon size units. Get the 4th one free. Pomona's Universal Pectin is a high-quality pectin that gels reliably with low amounts of any sweetener. If you're trying to reduce the amount of sugar in your diet, you'll love Pomona's Universal Pectin. Now you can make healthy homemade jams and jellies sweetened to your taste. You can use sugar or honey to sweeten. Pomona's Universal Pectin keeps indefinitely when stored in an airtight container. Easy to use, versatile, and comes with directions and recipes in every box. Find out more and where to buy at PomonaPectin.com. Also available at natural food stores and online.
Straw bale gardening is all the rage. Get your bale started easily with the Bale Buster Straw Bale Conditioning Formula. This is the only product that has been specifically formulated for use in straw bale gardening. Each unit contains 250 million colony-forming units of trichoderma, fungi, and Bacillus bacteria. In addition to the fertilizer itself, produces fantastic results with a bountiful production of vegetable crops. Start with the best to get the best, traditional or organic formula. Take the guesswork out of conditioning your straw bale. Go to balebuster.com to find out more. Thanks for listening to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show. As you've heard through the program, many companies offering coupon codes to help you save on great products. If you've missed any of those coupon codes, you can go to our parent website, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, and click on the Money tab at the top of the page, and they're all listed for you. The Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show is brought to you by the following: Tree Ripe, covers in all, Ironwood Tool Company, Timber Pro Coatings, Blue Ribbon Organics, Natural Green Products, Algae Men, Dr. Zyme, Happy Leaf LED, Rescue, Big Tool Rack, Hot Bin Composting, Proclamation Goods. Find all sponsors at the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com and thank them for their support. Welcome back to the Gardening with Joe and Holly radio show. Time for your questions, our answers. If you've got a question, you can certainly submit that over to us two different ways. GardenTalkRadio@gmail.com. That's GardenTalkRadio@gmail.com. Or if you'd like to communicate with us, you can certainly do that by calling us on the Proclamation Hotline brought to you by Proclamation Goods. That number is 1-800-927-SHOW, 1-800-927-7469.
Proclamation Goods creates cookware for the eco-conscious home chef. Their pans are non-toxic, have a lifetime warranty, and are made in Wisconsin. Their award-winning stainless steel Proclamation Duo cookware set is a 12-inch skillet and a stock pot that doubles as a wok. Best of all, the skillet and stock pot hinge together to form a Dutch oven. It's 2 pans with a versatility of 10, empowering you to cook more with less. If you care about your health and strive for a more sustainable lifestyle, then Proclamation Goods is for you. Supply is limited, so order yours now at proclamationgoods.com.
All right, let's jump right in the questions. Can or should I soak my peas to speed up germination, Holly?
Yeah, you can absolutely do that. It's not necessary.
No.
But you can do that, especially maybe if you are concerned about not having, like, them not being watered enough or something like that. But anytime we plant our peas, we water them at the time of planting. And since they are, for us, a spring crop, the soil is usually not in danger of not being hydrated.
Right. But you can do that. You can use the amazing Dr. Zymes and soak your seeds in that. You can get your free samples at drzymes.com/garden talk, and you can soak them in that, and that will actually add a little bit of protection to them and get them started off quicker. However, here's the warning. Ding, ding, ding. Know how many peas you're going to plant, because if you don't plant them all, you've soaked them, and they're going to germinate, or you're going to have to throw them out.
Right. And another thing to keep in mind is you can actually soak a lot of larger seeds to help germination. But again, as Joey had mentioned, you want to make sure you know, like, I'm going to plant 14 or whatever.
Right. Here's another one, Holly. As my garlic begins to pop through the soil this spring, do I need to do anything, such as leave it alone or feed it, or any advice?
So one thing you want to do is when your garden starts to pop through the soil is we make sure we have enough mulch around it. But before you do that, you can definitely take, what's it called? Not a trowel. Well, you could take a trowel. What's the, like, cloth thing? Cultivator. And you can kind of, like, cultivate around it, and then you could feed it with some liquid fertilizer, or just put some compost once you kind of...
Some simple grow. Worm castings.
Yeah. And you kind of feed the soil a little bit, give it a little boost of nutrients, and then you can put mulch around it, but you don't have to do anything else. And you want to weed around it gently too. That's not a bad idea, but for the most part, you don't have to do a lot. Just maybe give it some good nutrients and mulch, and just make sure you keep it weeded.
Here's another one for you, Holly, since you're doing so good answering all the questions. Should I or can I use store-bought potatoes instead of buying seed potatoes?
Did I get a gold star?
Grandpa said it's always very hard to get gold stars, so I don't know if you qualify. I'll have to ask him.
Okay. So you can use store-bought potatoes, yes and no. A lot of times, if it's something like a russet or like a baking potato or even a yellow red potato, if it doesn't sprout eyes at, like, large eyes at any point, you probably can't use it. But if it does, like, maybe you buy it from the organic food store, it's an organic potato, and it starts to sprout those eyes, then yes, you can use them. You might not know the variety, but you can usually grow them.
All right. Well, with that being said, we are out of time, and we thank you for yours. Did you miss any portion of the program today, or we covered something so quickly that you may have not caught it? Well, we can help you with that. You can send us an email to gardentalkradio@gmail.com, and we can send you the link to this show or answer your questions in regards to specific conversations in which we've had. You can also capture the show via in-studio video, under the season and podcast on our website, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com. The Season 6 tab holds the podcast there. And do it that way. Tune in next week to the program. We're going to be covering summer squash and winter squash, what you need to know, as well as a question that stimulated this conversation we will have about perlite versus vermiculite and should you use it in the ground garden. Our guest will be chicken expert and author Lisa Steele, and we'll take your garden questions. So until next week for
Holly Baird.
I'm Joey Baird, and we will see you in the garden.